I'm Karen.
And I'm Greg.
I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Paul.
And this is Library Beat.
We tried to do that in unison, but it did not work out.
We should have practiced more.
Maybe we take two.
Take two. I'm Karen.
I'm Greg.
I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Paul.
And this is Library Beat,
a weekly podcast about all things library.
So, this is me, Paul, and Aubrey's first episode, just the two of us. Last week, Greg and Karen interviewed me, and I was introduced to the Library Beat podcast as a co-host. And this week, I'm going to interview Aubrey. So, it's kind of a softball because I know her very well. And she's one of my favorite coworkers, top 50 coworkers out of the 50 employees, I'd say.
I'll take it. It's an honor.
I won't say what you're ranked in that 50, but you're up there, Aubrey, I promise.
Oh, I know I am. I'm at least 49.
That's exactly right. 48.
Okay, perfect.
Are you excited to be doing this?
I am excited. I'm nervous because I've never done anything like this, but I'm also excited because I've always wanted to do this.
Yes, and we're going to talk about what our plan is as co-hosts because it seems like we kind of have a friendly rivalry that's going to develop with Karen and Greg to see who gets more listeners to the podcast and who has better quality content. So we have to strive for that.
Yes.
Because I talked a big game. I don't know about
absolutely. I have not talked any game because I don't want to fail. But I know that we're probably going to win because we're really great. So
that's exactly right. I want to kind of talk about your history here at the library. You're one of the newest full-timers, and you're the newest member on the adult services team. You're an adult services coordinator. Let's go back a few years to when you first started here at the library. When was that?
I started at the library in April of 2019, and I was a clerk. It was my first job ever, so I was nervous. I was scared. I'd never worked a job before, and so whenever I started here, they have you do your general things like your shelving and your practicing, and then you're working your way up to be able to work on the desk. And then I started working on the desk, and I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. Ever since I started at the library, I've loved my job. I don't think there's ever been a time where I just didn't like my job here at the library, hence why I applied for full-time, because I loved it so much. I wanted to have a bigger part in things here at the library. So here we are.
Yeah, and that was, about 6 months ago?
Yes, I started in January as the adult services coordinator, so that's been fun. It's been a big learning curve. Working full-time is difficult, but when you work at a place like the library, it makes it fun.
For those that don't know, the adult services team here at the library handles all things adult programs, services, outreach. We have our front desk workers. Those are called public services, but adult services team is a little more specialized on those kind of behind the scenes things.
Right.
So we have our team leader, who's the adult services librarian, Greg, who's the other co-host now of this podcast. He does our library adult materials collection, so anything that you see on the shelves here on the adult side, Greg has probably ordered or looked into in some capacity. And he also does interlibrary loans and several other things. We have James, who's our outreach coordinator. He's been a guest on a few episodes. He manages our home deliveries, and we just got our new bookmobile, so he's going to oversee that. We also have Cheryl, who's another outreach coordinator, and Cheryl assists with deliveries as well and kind of specializes in services for seniors. And then I'm the adult programs coordinator, so most of the programs that we have in-house here at the library I'm involved in. And Aubrey, what would you say your specialty is?
I don't know if I necessarily have one specialty. I do help out with a lot of interlibrary loans, but I also do a lot of delivering, and I just took my first trip on the bookmobile to the Green Market in the Village last week, so I foresee a lot of bookmobiling in my future. So I do a lot of the behind-the-scenes things, the delivery and the interlibrary loans and things that just have to get done. I like to do those things as well. I don't really want to be center of attention all the time, so it's nice to get to do those things back there.
Well, you've also been a invaluable asset for me as far as helping with programs goes. There's 3 things in particular that I'm proud of you for, and I hope you're proud of as well, that you've accomplished here just in the short time that you've been an adult services coordinator. And one of those is the spay and neuter vouchers, which are pretty recent. You want to tell everyone about those?
Yeah, so we now carry free spay and neuter vouchers here at the library. So all you have to do is come up to the library and bring proof of your address here in Garland County, and you can walk away with a spay and neuter voucher for your cats or dogs. So how that started was somebody had mentioned or asked us one day if we had one, and we didn't have one at the time. And so I thought, you know what, let me look into this. So I started asking around. I went out to an event with one of our children's librarians, and we met with Abby from Abby's Acres out in Sunshine, and I asked her if she knew where we could find some spay and neuter vouchers. For those of you who don't know, Abby owns a farm out in Sunshine, and she has all kinds of critters out there, so I figured she'd be the one to ask. So I started asking around, asked Abby, and she said, well, I've got a friend that works at the sheriff's department. And I was like, okay. So I reached out to the sheriff's department and asked them, and they were like, sure. Several months later, we finally ended up with our spay and neuter vouchers, and so now we get to manage those and hand those out. And I think that's a good asset for the community. They're going really well. My favorite thing is that they're free, so who doesn't want free stuff?
Yeah, and they're a $50 value.
Mm-hmm.
Towards all of the participating vets. You'll get a list if you pick up your voucher. It just takes a few minutes. There's some paperwork that's required that we have to keep up with and give back to the sheriff's department. But they've been really successful. I mean, I'd say we're averaging at least one a day.
Oh, yeah.
If not
for
more.
Sure.
We've had to restock a few times.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they make it very easy, so it's not complicated. It takes just a couple minutes, like Paul said, so any trouble at all to do one. So I love doing them, actually.
Absolutely, and we're helping all of the dogs and cats in Garland County. So, Aubrey, are you a dog person or a cat person?
I have to say dog because I have a dog, but I love cats. I'm just allergic to cats, so probably dogs. If I had to pick one, it would be dogs.
See, I'm actually allergic to both dogs and cats, but I have a cat. And so I have to say I'm a cat person because currently I have a cat, but I do appreciate dogs very much as well. I'm not allergic to my cat because I've grown a tolerance to him. But whenever I go to other people's houses and they have cats,
yep, I'm the same way.
My eyes are going to start watering.
Yep, take your allergy medicine with you.
So something else that I am really proud of you for is your involvement in our adult craft club. So we have Crafternoon and Crafter Hours. So tell us about those.
So we started with just Crafternoon, and it's a drop-in program. You don't have to register or anything. You just show up, and it's while supplies last. So you just come in on the first Friday of every month from 2 to 4, and you make a craft. I come up with each craft. I get a lot of my ideas from either Pinterest, or we have a resource here at the library called Creative Bug, and you can access that for free using your library card. So I find a lot of my ideas on there, and I order all the supplies that we need and get it ready, and we get to do that craft. But there were some people that were wanting to do something that was after hours, or at least at a different time of day where more people could come. And so we started doing a Crafter Hours, which is a play on after hours. So you come in after we're closed and you make a craft with me and some of your fellow community members, and it's a good time. So if you're not busy, you should come. In August, we're going to be making polymer clay earrings, and we do the same craft both times of the month, and that way we don't have to pick more than one, and you get more than one chance to make the craft.
Those dates would be August 4th, which is the first Friday, and August 17th, which is the third Thursday. So what are some of the examples of crafts you've done in previous months?
Just for this summer, we have made tie-dye t-shirts. That one was pretty fun. It was really easy. We just made them here in the library. We've done a lot of palette art. We did some scarecrows and some snowmen. We've done wreaths, and those I think are a crowd favorite. A lot of people came for the wreaths, and so those were pretty fun. We used to do some guided painting. We don't do that as much anymore. We're trying to steer more towards crafting and building things with your hands. One that was really popular too was birdhouses. So we got some birdhouses and we painted them and decorated them, and that one was really fun too. We might need to do that one again. It was really popular.
So one other thing I want to talk about is another program you've had recently. I think it was beginning of last month. It was a program about domestic violence and that issue, just to change things to a darker note. Tell us about how you got that set up and what that program was all about.
So a few months ago in Hot Springs, we had some tragedies here that involved domestic violence and domestic homicide. And so Karen, our other co-host, and I were talking, and we thought it would be a good idea to have a program about domestic violence to hopefully spread awareness and just educate people on what it could look like, because it looks different for everyone. I used to be at National Park as a student there. I'm studying social work, and one of my professors was Susan Millard, and she is a chair on the Domestic Violence Coalition here in Hot Springs. And so I emailed her and asked her if she'd be interested in putting together a panel of people. And like all good things, it took time to put together, but then finally we were able to get a program together, and we had a panel of individuals from the community come, and they did some Q&A, and they answered a lot of questions from the community about domestic violence and what it looks like and how you can do your part to help prevent and all this kind of stuff. Really, really interesting. I think we need to do more programs like that.
Yeah, and viewers online can go and check that program out because it was recorded, so it's on the library's Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, and it should be there forever and ever.
Yes. Well, that's great. I think it's really amazing that we have someone like you on the adult services team who is such an advocate for people in our community who are experiencing violence or other issues. And I think your social work background has been key in being able to provide that kind of content.
Yes, it's been such a joy working on the adult services team. I think it is really the best fit for me and my personality and my skill set. So
Yeah.
I've really, really enjoyed it. I'm excited to actually finish my degree and see how helpful it will be in the library world. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I'm glad that you have this job that really ties into your passions.
Yes, yes. And even when I wasn't full-time, one of the perks about working at the library is if I was interested in something, I had the opportunity to investigate that and go farther with it. So if I wanted to do like crafts, I was doing Crafternoon before I was even a full-time employee here at the library. I loved doing crafts, and so I told Karen one day, I was like, hey, I think it'd be cool if we did this, and they supported me, and it worked out. So it's really nice. You have so much support here at the library, and I really couldn't have asked for a better job right now. It's been so great.
I completely agree with that. I mean, and programming is very similar because anything that you can imagine being interested in or that our public, our patrons are interested in, there is an opportunity to have a program there. I mean, if any kind of presentation on something historical or a workshop on a hobby, whatever it is, there's probably somebody skilled or an expert in our community on that subject matter. And just as somebody myself that I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do when I graduated high school and went to college, and I really had so many different things in mind, but working with the public in a library where I have access to all of this information and this ability to network and connect with everyone in the community, explore all of my interests, and also work and provide a service to the public at the same time. So we are going to be alternating as co-hosts with Greg and Karen every other episode. So Aubrey, what should we do for our next episode? Let's brainstorm out loud.
Okay. That's a lot of pressure.
I
There's
know.
people listening to us right now.
We can edit this out.
Okay, perfect. Well, as you know, I love candy. I'm a candy connoisseur. It's my favorite food. I know we've briefly talked about having a, what would you call it?
A bracket.
Yes, a candy bracket. where
Candy bracket.
We try candies.
Yes.
And we go down the line trying them. They compete against each other, and then the winner, Best Candy Award, goes to.
Yes. I think that'll be a perfect episode close to Halloween. Except we're definitely going to have to mute people while they're chewing because nobody wants to hear that.
Some people do, but we won't do that not on the library's podcast.
Yeah, we're not going to become an ASMR chewing podcast.
Oh my goodness. Have you ever fallen asleep listening to ASMR?
I can't say I've tried.
Okay. It's pretty relaxing.
I'll take your word for it. Something that I definitely want to do is get out and interview some of our networking contacts, the different programming partners and other people in the community, patrons, and people that we work with here on our programs and services. Someone you mentioned earlier was Abby from Abby's Acres.
Yes. Yeah.
We're volunteering her right now. She may not even want to do it, but if she doesn't, shout out to Abby's Acres and the Sunshine Store.
Yes, absolutely. We do a lot of work with the Sunshine Store. I would say we have a farmer's market that's happening out there coming up soon that we're going to be out there for. We do have our book lockers out there at the Sunshine Store, so that's something that's really benefited them and us as well. So it just makes sense that we would have to go interview and talk to the Sunshine Store and see how they're doing.
Yeah. Plus, they have really good food out there if you've never been there.
Absolutely. So maybe we should go around lunchtime.
All right. Well, I think that's a wrap for our first solo episode without Greg and Karen. Are you looking forward to our bright future of co-hosting this podcast?
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm excited to listen to this first episode and just see how much we grow from here.
All right. Well, thanks, Aubrey. Until next time, viewers or listeners, how do they usually sign off?
I don't know. They didn't tell us. We just did the intro.
No. Well, that's a wrap on Library Beat.